The Belgian Grand Prix weekend kicked off with heavy showers in a free practice 1, which gave teams much needed running in those conditions, as forecasts showed it'll be much of the same come qualifying. Red Bull looked surprisingly strong in these conditions and were showing signs of the old downforce king team they used to be. It was much needed good news for the team after Christian Horner confirmed on Thursday that Antonio Giovinazzi was considering all his options for his 2020 drive. Audi, on the other hand, was struggling just as they had been back in Spain in the wet. This got Mercedes and Ferrari very confident for the weekend ahead as they looked to mount a constructors charge on Audi and McLaren respectively. Finally, to add the final spanner into the works, both Jaguar drivers were also looking very comfortable around Belgium, with aarava admitting that he was hoping for some rain in the race as well as qualifying. So let's take a look at the starting grid for the Belgian Grand Prix here at Spa. Landing up on the front row of the grid and in pole position is the Australian driver of Daniel Ricciardo, who managed to stretch 8 tenths ahead of his teammate Sebastian Vettel, who completed a Ferrari front row lockout for today's Belgian Grand Prix, with Pascal Wehrlein landing up in 3rd place in his Mercedes and Red Bull driver Pierre Gasly all the way up in P4. Looking at the 3rd row, it's the other 2 teammates of Max Verstappen, who's directly behind his teammate in P5, and Antonio Giovinazzi directly behind his teammate in P number 6. Only a tenth separates the 2 Jaguar drivers of aarava and Stoffel Vandoorne, who line up in P7 and P8 for today's Grand Prix. And looking at the final row in the top 10, it's the 2 McLaren drivers of Lewis Hamilton and Kevin Magnussen, who just managed to scrape into Q3 and get some solid lap times onto the board. And it's an all-Williams 6th row of Kamara and Valtteri Bottas. A very impressive performance from Kamara and Bottas, going all the way up into almost into the top 10 for this Grand Prix, but an absolute awful performance from the 2 Audi drivers of Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez, all the way down in P13 and P14 for today's Grand Prix, with Nico Hülkenberg and Mick Schumacher, an all-German 8th row for today's Grand Prix. Now looking at the 9th row, Romain Grosjean runs up alongside Esteban Ocon in P17 and P18. Now looking at the final 2 rows of the grid, it's Antonio Fuoco in the Alfa Romeo and Charles Leclerc in the other Alfa Romeo alongside him. And finally, looking at the very last row of the grid, it's Sergei Sirotkin in the final Haas and Louis Delatraz in the final Renault.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver career mode, episode number 11 today for Season 5 at the Belgium Grand Prix. We've only got 5 rounds left in this season, including this one, and it's getting towards crunch time. If you did miss the last episode, episode number 10 at the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim, that was uploaded last Friday, then do go check it out before you see this one. That was a very decisive episode, because it means now, going into these last 5 rounds, it's looking like our main 2 title contenders are Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen in the Audi and Mercedes car, respectively. And obviously last episode, Max Verstappen with a great victory, and that means it's really hotting up, and that's just added on to the fact that we had a crazy qualifying. You saw in the report there, very mixed up grid, full heavy rain during qualifying. I was hoping for some rain in this race. It looks pretty overcast, so we may get some later on, but for now it's going to be remaining dry. But it means we've got a front row lockout for Ferrari, and the 2 Audis find themselves outside the top 10. It should be quite an exciting race ahead of us. We line up here in P7, right next to Giovinazzi and our teammate Stoffel Vandoorne in P8. But here we go, revving up to 5 red lights for the 11th round of this season. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway. It's been an okay start for us, but an even better one for Antonio Giovinazzi and Pascal Wehrlein into turn 1. Wehrlein making a move potentially for first place. We're going to try and go around the outside of Antonio Giovinazzi into turn 1. We've just managed to get it up into P6 on the curbing on the exit. We've managed to get the power down, and now we've got up ahead of us Verstappen overtaking Gasly up into P4. We're going to stick behind Gasly up Rouge down towards the Kemmel Straight. We've got at the moment Daniel Ricciardo leading this Grand Prix, then Pascal Wehrlein in 2nd place and Sebastian Vettel 3rd. But look at that, as we go side by side with Gasly up into P5, it's Verstappen going down the inside of all 3 of those cars, potentially getting into P1 of this Grand Prix. Look at that, 3 wide for first place in this race. What a move there from Max Verstappen. Yellow flags, and oh, it's Carlos Sainz. He spun on one of the McLaren cars. I think that's Kevin Magnussen. There goes Sergio Perez. That is huge for this championship, because look at that, Max Verstappen is into first place of this Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo 2nd, then Wehrlein 3rd. Vettel in P4, and then we're chasing after in P5, but Carlos Sainz has spun on Kevin Magnussen's McLaren, and he's way down the order, and look at this now on the back straight. Amazing slipstream in tow to try and go around the outside of Sebastian Vettel through Blanchimont as his car sparks away. We go around the outside into the bus stop. We'll be ahead for P4. He momentarily gets back up into that position under braking, but we're able to keep it, and so there you go. So at the moment, we've got Max Verstappen leading this Grand Prix as he crosses the line to set a fast lap of the Grand Prix. He's the only one out, actually, we should note, on super soft tyres. The rest of us all on softs. Obviously, we can all make a free choice because of the fact there was heavy rain in qualifying yesterday. So Max Verstappen's gone a little bit differently to everyone else. So he really should actually be trying to stretch this lead as much as he can. As we move on to the next lap, lap 3, you can see on the mini-map that's exactly what he's doing there on the bottom left. You can see a huge gap to P2, which is here. Ricciardo now trying to fend off Pascal Wehrlein. We've closed up to the German, our former teammate from Mercedes in Season 2 and Season 3. Can we try and make a move on Wehrlein? I wonder, as he's getting really quite bogged down here through the very understeery right-hander. We're just trying to size up a move, do a bit of a switchback move, and we've actually got it a little bit of wiggle on the exit, but we're going to try and hang it around the outside. He pushes us into the curbing. We've lost some traction there, so Wehrlein really getting the shoulders out to make sure we don't get past here. Through into Pouon. We get very, very close to his gearbox, locking up on the front left to not slam into the back of his gearbox, and so we have to try and just hang behind. And again, you can see we tried to make a move there, but Wehrlein really defending quite well here. So brake checked us into that next corner, so we're gonna have to just stick behind here. Sides our move up here in third gear, fourth, getting the traction off that corner. We're up into rich mix at the moment, so we should be able to get another good exit and good slipstream. This slipstream is really just so overpowered here down this back straight. So even with the lack of power in this Land Rover branded Renault engine, we can make a move on a Mercedes powered car of Wehrlein. We're up into P3 there. Pretty easy move, but Wehrlein will come back at us, so it's not over yet. Into the bus stop. Wehrlein round the outside, going to turn to the inside of the next corner. We're going to brake early, switch back move, and try and get good traction on the exit. And so across the line, we'll be side by side. We're going to try and squeeze him to the inside. Wehrlein's not going to have any of it though, so he actually switches back to the left-hand side of the circuit. He's got DRS here, so he may be in a better position as we go down now towards Rouge and the Kemmel Straight. That will be a very key battle point for this entire race, I feel. And so here, Wehrlein, we're trying to break this. We're trying to break the toe. You can see on the left-hand side, but up Rouge and now down the Kemmel Straight. Here's where you're going to see that DRS come into effect, and it's going to be pretty much a very easy move for Wehrlein. So I'm just going to stick to the inside line here on the right-hand side. We're going to focus on our break point, try and break as late as we dare to try and defend from Wehrlein. Here we go. Our front left's going to get dangerously close to his side pod there as we still go side by side through this next section. A little bit of contact there, and our car goes a little bit wayward on the exit. You can see having to control it, a bit of snap of roast here, but we've got it, and we've kept third place there from Wehrlein. So now can we crucially try and break this kind of DRS toe and gap and try and chase after Ricciardo. At the same time also, we do have to think about our tyre wear, because on the bottom right you can see 31%. 2 laps later on lap 5 we've got 50% on our front left, so we need to think about that and potentially make an early pit stop to maybe undercut some people. We've got a yellow flag up ahead though. What's this for? Ricciardo goes through. That's the other Mercedes. Verstappen, he stopped out on track. Is he out this Grand Prix, I wonder, or is he maybe got an issue? He's parked it very strangely right in the middle of the bus stop chicane. A very dangerous place to park it up there. So we've now got both title rivals, Carlos Sainz and Verstappen, having major issues in this Grand Prix and going down the order. I don't know if Verstappen's completely out of this Grand Prix. It kind of looked like it because he's completely parked up. So I don't know, maybe his car shut down. I'm not too sure. We've also got, Mick Schumacher is out of this race, so that will be a very annoying one for him. He's been doing so well this season so far in that Force India, but he's out of the Grand Prix, so we're up into P2 then. Wehrlein in P3, obviously. So let's take a look at a replay of what happened here to the lead Mercedes car. Puncher on the front left, and then he just parks it so straight, just like Sebastian Vettel, remember, at the Italian Grand Prix, just parks it up. I don't know, maybe he's trying to wait up for his teammate there. Wehrlein goes through, and he's actually held up Hamilton, I think that is, in the McLaren, and also the Ferrari. the Williams car comes through. Vandoorne, my teammate's also stuck. Then we got Verstappen finally getting out the way and finding the accelerator pedal. I don't know, maybe he lost sight of the right-hand pedal there as he comes in the pit. And then we got Sainz held up for the second time in a row in this race. Look, he's parked it up. He's lost about 3-4 positions there. He now finds himself behind Kevin Magnussen and the Red Bull of, I think that's Pierre Gasly. And so that's really not worked out for anyone in that situation. And you know what? Look at that on the left. I think that's Verstappen. So as Sainz comes through, turn 1, Verstappen is going to come out. He's already made a pit stop here for his puncher, and he's going to come out ahead of Carlos Sainz. So Sainz is going to come through on the left-hand side, overtake Sainz, overtake Verstappen, up the Camel, so up the Rouge, down the Camel straight now. And so now Sainz is going to use that Audi engine to good use, overtake Magnussen, then overtake Gasly. But you know what? I think Verstappen has been very, very naughty and cheeky there. I think he's parked the car to try and hold up Sainz, because he's now effectively made a free pit stop against Sainz, because obviously Verstappen only has to care about Sainz. He doesn't need to worry about any of us. He's just fighting Sainz. So he's made a free pit stop against Sainz by holding everyone up there. So I think that might be quite a controversial thing. Maybe that will be quite a big moment as we come through to the end of the season, potentially. Yeah, we'll have to see. Only time will tell. But a safety car has been called out as we've entered the pit lane. So we're making our pit stop. And you can see the safety car has literally just come down the pit exit. And is going to be right in front of us as we exit the pit. So that's a very, very unorthodox thing to look at. But safety car is called out. I think that was because of Pierre Gasly going out to this Grand Prix. So as we exit the pits, we've got Vandoorne crossing line ahead of us. And so that actually means that everyone ahead of us is going to be screwed, basically, because everyone else is going to make a free pit stop, and you've got the top 4 who are not going to make that free pit stop. You've got Vandoorne, I believe it's Lewis Hamilton, and Daniel Ricciardo, all still out there on their first set of tyres. So they're going to have to make they're going to have to trundle round, make a pit stop, whereas everyone else behind me has already made their free pit stop, with Verstappen's right behind me now in P6. So it does mean now, by the time we get to lap 10, the safety car restart, it is 1-2 for me and Verstappen, and Ricciardo is now down to 3rd place. He was initially in P1, so you can see now on the exit of the safety car period, I'm backing everyone up. Then, here we go, bang, hit the throttle and try and get away from Verstappen as best we can. So, a little bit of a kind of tactical kind of positioning there from us on the restart, trying to get the best exit that we can, because obviously down that back straight, I'm now not going to get any slipstream. I've not got any car ahead of me, so I'm going to be quite susceptible to a move from Verstappen down that Kemmel straight. Even without DRS, obviously the Mercedes car, the Ferrari cars can overtake me in a straight line, even without DRS, so especially without me having any tow. So I need to try and get as good of exit as I could on that safety car restart. So here we go, Upper Rouge, but you're going to see, unfortunately, as you can already see visually, as we go up and climb up that hill, Verstappen's already rapidly closing in on us, so here he goes. He'll be in a slipstream. We try and break the toes. He move to the inside line to also try and defend, but it's no use. Unlike with Verline, he's cleanly passed us even before the break point gets to us. We're unable to even try and mount a defense, so we have to stick behind in 2nd place now, but we get a brilliant exit through that right-hander in 4th gear. Can we stick it down the inside here into the very understeery right-hander once again on the curbing? And we have actually got it, so that's a great little move there. Through that right-hander, we just got a brilliant bit of momentum through that right-hander. And we're back up into P1 for now, but we move on to the very next lap, lap 12. Back up the same place, Rouge, and yet again, I am just loving this Kemmel straight here. Just so much sitting.com here with Verstappen now coming on the left. Ricciardo also on the left. They go side by side for the lead of this Grand Prix. Will Ricciardo make a move? They go side by side. Sorokin's out of this race, and the Haas, we're going to try and feed it round the outside of the Australian. Touches side pod. Very, very close stuff. Brilliant little move there to get it back up into P2. But unfortunately now for us, Verstappen's a bit too far for us to make a similar move like we did on the previous lap to get back up into 1st place. But at least we've not lost 2 positions there. And so we're back into 2nd. But yeah, that Kemmel straight's really going to be the thorn in my plans here, this Grand Prix so far. But I think we're doing fantastic to really to say that so far, that we're up here even battling for the podium position, because really this car really shouldn't be here. But right now we're using all this slipstream down the back straight to just help us drag us along. I mean, in the corners, we're matching everyone, but on the straights, we have to use this slipstream to good effect. And as soon as we're in clean air, like you saw at the restart of the safety car, it's very, very hard to keep up with everyone. But now here, down to the bus stop, again, with some slipstream, going to try and make a move. Verstappen locks up hugely. We've locked up as well, but Verstappen's had a huge double lock-up, and just like in Hockenheim, he's lost a position there, down into that bus stop chicane. So awesome stuff. We're up into 1st place once more, and now Ricciardo's the one in 2nd place trying to close us down. But this time, unlike previous laps, it's not only Ricciardo, but here comes Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel with slipstream, all 3 of them. But look at this, the top 4, so close together, you could throw a blanket over all of us. And now you've got Ricciardo into 1st place, Verstappen up into 2nd, Vettel gets pushed out. We go around the outside of the German, and we're back up into 3rd place. And so that's a lovely little move there for Ricciardo to get back up into 1st. And now we have to defend from Vettel and try and close up on Verstappen once more. But Wow, look at that. The top 5 there, actually, because we got another car closing up. I think that maybe, I can't quite tell which car that is. I think that's the other, yeah, that's the other Mercedes car, Verline. So you got the 2 Mercedes, 2 Ferrari, and then myself. The top 5, all so close together. But when I have a look at a replay here, this is actually on the very same lap as these 3 cars were overtaking me. Behind us, the battle for P6 and P7 was Hamilton v Vandoorne, and Hamilton actually makes a lovely move up into the entry of Rouge, round the outside of Vandoorne. Vandoorne comes back at him, so they go side by side through the middle of Rouge. A lovely little scrap here, and then on the back straight, even without DRS, Hamilton doesn't even have DRS for some reason, just the Honda V Land Rover branded Renault engine. Hamilton's then finally able to get past Vandoorne, but a lovely little scrap there between my teammate and Hamilton. But now we move on to lap 13. Verstappen now comes in the pits. Remember, he's a bit out of sync of this Grand Prix. He made the early pit stop for the puncture, obviously, so he's going to be basically a little bit earlier than most of us to each of these pit stops. So it's lap 14 at the moment as we cross the line, so hopefully we'll be going a few more laps, at least 3 I would say. But we've got more things to worry about right now, because we've got Verline still very much behind us as a threat, and you can see also in the background there the orange McLaren of Lewis Hamilton, who hasn't featured too much in this race so far, but he's just been quiet, going about his business, and he's slowly, without any of us really knowing and noticing, he's caught up to the top 4 here, the top 5 fight between the 2 Mercedes and 2 Ferraris and myself, so he may be a threat at the end of this Grand Prix. But Verline comes up on the left, and he's able to overtake us just like his teammate right round the outside, and we can't even defend in the brake zone. But once again, through this right-hander, getting some brilliant exits through that right-hand end. Can we make another move potentially? Lock up, go a little bit wide, but we've got some traction here in 3rd gear, so we're going to try and hang it round the outside. A little bit of argy-bargy here once again, getting the shoulders out, and just like Verline did to me, I squeeze him out onto the curbing on the right-hand side, and that means Hamilton will actually swoop round the right through Pouon. What a move this would be for Hamilton. Doesn't quite get pulled off, but he's still there on the outside. Verline just about manages to keep ahead, so Hamilton's now getting really punchy. So he's been quite quiet, as I mentioned before in this Grand Prix, but now looks like he's getting fired up here, and he's probably his engineers probably told him it's time for hammer time. But as we come on to lap 14, the end of it, Ricciardo's into the pits, I'm into the pits, and Hamilton continues on, and Verline's in the pits as well. So Hamilton is going to try and push on. He's on medium tyres, actually. Didn't notice that, actually, so maybe that's why he's been quite quiet. He's been on mediums, having a little bit slower pace for now, but now, obviously now since our softs were wearing off, same with Ricciardo and Verline, maybe that's why he was coming back at us. So Hamilton will be going a lot longer into this Grand Prix then, because he's on the medium tyres. So that'll be quite interesting to see how he does then on a set of softs, I'm guessing, at the end of this Grand Prix. But we come out of pits, and we've got a better fight to look at, actually, because we've got Verstappen now going through turn 1. He's overtaken Ricciardo, who comes out of pits. So now, at the moment, it's actually Antonio Giovinazzi that is in the Red Bull in 2nd place. So at the moment, Hamilton's way out in the lead this Grand Prix, obviously. Then you've got Giovinazzi here on the medium tyres as well in 2nd place. Verstappen's going to try and overtake him and try and spoil the party, but I think this may be a very surprising development here. We've got Giovinazzi and Hamilton doing very well on the medium tyres, and they've come out of nowhere to fight for the podium position potential. We've got Giovinazzi still fighting with Verstappen, and Giovinazzi manages to still keep it around the outside, side by side with Verstappen, and so this is a bit more like it from Giovinazzi. We've not really seen what he's capable of. We've seen it plenty before in, Season 4, Season 3, and previously, but so far in this season, he's been very, very quiet. He's been a bit of a stranger in this season so far, Giovinazzi, but right now, his strategy, along with Hamilton's, is looking like a very good one indeed to be on the medium tyres for that second stint. Speaking of medium tyres, we're on a set of medium tyres now, chasing down Sebastian Vettel in P6. And so, it looks like the top 7 here are kind of bunching up quite nicely. You've got Hamilton in the lead this Grand Prix, then Giovinazzi, Verstappen, Ricciardo, then we've got Vettel and myself in P7 here. So this could get quite tasty towards the end of this Grand Prix with only 7 laps to go. But here we go, rich mix, slipstream, and Vettel gets very, very close. We tap tyres, and this time round, unlike the first stint, we're not able to go around the outside Blanchimont. Vettel's learned there, and he's placed his car very strategically. But now into the bus stop, can we make a move? Diving down a little bit, hit the apex quite nicely, leave him the room, trying the switchback, but unlike the switchback we made earlier on in the Grand Prix against Verline, it's not worked out for us, so Vettel keeps up into P5, and it's a pit stop there from, I think that's Valtteri Bottas onto the soft tyres, I think that is. And so Vandoorne is up there, up the order behind us. So we make the move into turn 1 though on Vettel. Very nice move. And so we're up into P5. Sainz, we've not seen much of him in this Grand Prix, but he's had the boss up of the Grand Prix. So looks like he's trying to get back into this. And I think he's in the tail end of the points at this point in the Grand Prix. But now down the Kemmel straight, Vettel unfortunately will come back at us. We're going to be seeing ducks here down the straight. So there goes Vettel on the left-hand side. DRS wide open. So we're just going to have to focus on the brake point and try and just keep with him through this sector. I wonder, once again, that right-hander coming up there. We've been so good through this section. 4th gear, plant the power, kiss the apex. Little bit of oversteer on the exit for good measure, but let's try and make a move down the inside. It's very understeery here for Vettel. We're still there. He gives us the room, to be fair. We've not made any contact with him, so that's a fair move, and we've got it around the outside then, and we're back up into P5, so doing our best to fight Vettel there. But anyway, on to the next few laps. Lap 17, I think this will be. This is Lewis Hamilton still leading the way on medium tyres, but he's going to have to make another pit stop. Then we've got in P2, Max Verstappen, we saw previously, overtook Giovinazzi on those soft tyres, so he's up in second. Giovinazzi then on mediums, just like Hamilton, doing the same exact strategy as Hamilton in 3rd place. And then close behind is Daniel Ricciardo on those medium tyres. Then follows us in now what will be P5, and Vettel in P6, Vandoorne then P7, and then you're Pascal Wehrlein on the second Mercedes in P8, followed by Antonio Fuoco, who's doing a brilliant job in the Alfa Romeo, and then, we've not seen much of him, I mentioned it before, Carlos Sainz in P9. So, Sainz has been held up twice now. He got spun by Magnussen, obviously, at the start, then got held up by Verstappen in the bus stop, so it's been a very tough Grand Prix for Sainz, but he's done well to think about how much time he lost, really. Think about, you know, there's 2 kind of big moments. He must have lost at least 40 seconds or something like that, and he's come back into the points. So I think that's a very good performance from Sainz to come back there. But you can see there, Hamilton is into the pits there, so he's going to be on to last stint for him. So that will mean Verstappen now crosses the line to get into P1, Giovinazzi now up into P2, and then Ricciardo P3, and Hamilton onto super soft. So Hamilton going very, very aggressive at the end of this Grand Prix. So there we go across the line through turn 1, and on the exit of turn 1, Hamilton will just come out behind Sebastian Vettel. So Hamilton is not too far off the entire top 5 here. So on the super soft tyres compared to all of our medium tyres and soft tyres, Hamilton is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Here he goes already, immediately, using the Honda engine and DRS to good effect. Round the outside, a little bit on the grass there on the exit, but we've gone round the outside with Hamilton, and he's up into what will be now, I think that's P5, I want to say. So Hamilton on a charge here. But next up, he's going to try and overtake me, and that's we know that's a task and a half. So let's try and see what Hamilton can do there. We move on to lap 19, and I'm having second thought about that comment I just made about Hamilton, because he has been flying around this circuit. I'm pretty sure he's got it into an uber-rich mix at the moment, because he has just been catching me at a rate of knots, and down the Kemmel straight. It's going to be a very easy move for Hamilton to make on the super soft. DRS wide open, and so now it's time to think a bit tactically. 3 laps left of this Grand Prix. I'm going to try and stick with Hamilton through the corners. I can't keep up with him down the straights, but we can keep within DRS through the corners. I can use him as a bit of a tow to catch up to this fight, the top 3, because they're only down the road. They're not actually, they're not far off, because we can use this to our advantage. But meanwhile, this is on the same lap, lap 19, while we're being overtaken by Hamilton. Verstappen tries to make a move for first place, but Giovinazzi is having none of it, and he sticks it down the inside, and he's still there, and he actually manages to push Verstappen off and keep first place. So Giovinazzi, with right now one of the drives of the season, to have this struggling Red Bull up in first place still, with Verstappen second, Ricciardo third. We move on now to lap 20, this will be, through Rouge, and Verstappen is going to come back for another second bite of the cherry to try and get first place in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Ricciardo just sticking around, trying to suss out a move, but here goes Verstappen and Ricciardo actually. So here goes, Giovinazzi may lose 2 positions in the span of 1 straight. Verstappen is up into first place, that is Ricciardo up into second, and so Giovinazzi unfortunately just has to sit there and take it, and he's down to 3rd place. But in the background you can see there is Hamilton and there is myself still sticking behind 2 laps later. As I said, I'm sticking to my word. I'm keeping up with Hamilton through the corners and down the straight, down the back straight, down the Kemmel straight. I'm using the DRS to just, pull myself through with Hamilton. And you can see just visually, look how much we are catching this top 3. Me and Hamilton are flying around this circuit. I wasn't flying initially, but now because I've got this nice little bit of DRS advantage, I'm just kind of sitting here, enjoying some popcorn, enjoying being pulled around with Hamilton, and this is going to be a very, very tasty last two laps, because look at this, in the same camera shot, you've got the top 5 all fighting for first place in this Grand Prix. This is going to be a very exciting end. But here we go. Down the back straight. It's going to be Ricciardo down the inside on the back straight. Up into first place here with his old former teammate from Red Bull. Through Blanchimont. Verstappen tries to hang it around the outside. It's not going to be any use though. Ricciardo does get it into first place. Into the bus stop chicane. And Verstappen has to settle for second place. And he peels into the pits. Verstappen. Oh, what a shame for Verstappen. He has to come in. He can't go to the end on the last lap of the Grand Prix. On towards the two last laps of the Grand Prix. Verstappen has to come in for a late pit stop there, so what a shame for him. So we come through now, we're up into what will be 4th place now, Hamilton into 3rd, it'll be Giovinazzi 2nd and Ricciardo 1st, and now you look at this, we close up so much so that now onto the final corner, on towards the final lap of the Grand Prix, lap 22 this will be, we're in 4th, Hamilton 3rd, Giovinazzi 2nd, Ricciardo 1st, Vettel in 5th, and now we've got the top 4 all fighting for the lead of this Grand Prix. I'm rubbing my hands here in the commentary box, guys. This is going to be so good. So here we go. On the last lap of the Grand Prix, up towards Rouge. Giovinazzi's looking very, very punchy. Up Rouge, catches Ricciardo up the hill. And here he goes with DRS down the Kemmel Straight for the move. The lead of the Grand Prix. Here he goes, and Hamilton also chasing after them in P3. They go side by side, the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Giovinazzi round the outside into the next sector. And he's going to get it. I think that, no, Ricciardo will try his best, but no, he's not got it. So Giovinazzi now into lead this Grand Prix. Hamilton closing up in 3rd. And now this is where we make our move. This is where we need to get the hammer down now. And this is where our tactic comes into play. We've been sitting back and just watching this fight. But now we pounce round the outside of Hamilton through the understeering right-hander. Down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. Pushing him out onto the curb. And that will actually allow Hamilton to close up with Slipstream. Down the inside of Pouon. They're going to go side by side through Pouon. Look at this. It's a pretty fantastic move by Hamilton. What a move there for Lewis Hamilton up into 3rd place. Now back to us though, because we're in P2 trying to close up on Antonio Giovinazzi, the Italian in the Red Bull, who's done a fantastic job to get into 1st place. Me and Giovinazzi have had some fantastic battles before in Season 4, Season 3, but this may be the cherry on top because we're coming through with Slipstream. Can we do this? Down to lead mix, up to standard, now up into rich mix for a little bit, momentarily to try and close up to Giovinazzi through Blanchimont, gaining even more with Slipstream, pure Slipstream, down to standard mix, down the inside. Easy braking into the bus stop. Here we go on the right hand side, round the outside, leave Giovinazzi the room though, but we're going to come through. We're going to run out of fuel just on the line, but we're going to come through for 1st place at the Belgian Grand Prix. How do you like that? 1st place at the Belgian Grand Prix. What a race. What a race. 3 overtakes on the last lap of the Grand Prix to come through. I played that to the tactical T, sitting back, using Hamilton to my advantage to pull onto those top 3, and then we made the move at the end. We're going to look at a replay here because if you heard on the engine actually, I actually ran out of fuel right on the line, and so this is how close it was between me and Gio. Look at this. That is how close it was. That's how close it finished. But that is going to be the win of the Belgian Grand Prix. And that means I keep my record going of having at least 1 win, 1 race victory in every single season I've participated in my career in MyDriver. Whew, what a Grand Prix, what a Grand Prix. And for the championship, this blows it wide open because in the Drivers' Championship now, somehow in a Jaguar car, I'm leading the championship with Carlos Sainz now 3 points behind me with 122 to my 125 points. Verstappen in 3rd place, 112. Hamilton gains now 107 points. So it's it's shaping up to be potentially, mathematically still, a top 4 fight for the championship. And somehow I'm here. I don't know how, but I'm somehow here. Consistency and this absolutely bonkers race with Sainz getting very, very unlucky. I still think there was a bit of controversy with Verstappen parking it on Sainz, but wow, what a race. That is, that had my heart pounding at the end there. That was amazing. That was amazing stuff there. And for the constructors, it actually means that Jaguar are into 1st place and the constructors ahead of Audi just about by 1 point there. So close. But, This is bonkers. Remember, at the beginning of the season, Jaguar really didn't think that we'd be anywhere. We thought potentially one podium, but, Vandoorne getting a surprise victory early on in the season. We've now had one victory, been very consistent. It's been a fantasy romantic season for Jaguar here, and maybe we don't need to be so surprised because remember, technically we are still we're foundationally still Toro Rosso from last year. You remember from season 1 of MyDriver to season 4, Toro Rosso have been steadily improving, and they were the legitimately third fastest constructors last year in season 4, and then obviously they got bought out by Jaguar, and that's the team we're in right now with Vandoorne. So maybe it shouldn't be such a surprise, but, obviously with a new face to the team, we weren't getting our hopes up, but at the moment, absolute wonders. We're in Cloud 9 at the moment as a whole team and as myself to lead the championship. Bonkers, but next round, we go to Baku. Now, remember, Baku with a long straight, that's going to be Audi territory, so really, with all this amazing stuff for us in Verstappen and Hamilton, I think it may be a bit of an Audi fest next race. We'll have to see, but wow, what a race this has been. Smash the like button, guys. Let's try and get over 2,000 likes, guys, for this episode. My first race victory in this season, and I keep up my record of having at least one race victory in every single season I've participated in MyDriver. Absolutely awesome. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around to subscribe for week 4 content, I've been Ava. Have a enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys next time.